They thought they were in control. Two officers, lights flashing, pulling over a lone SUV on a bright afternoon. Their tone was sharp, their confidence unshakable, ready to assert dominance over a woman they assumed had no power. But this wasn't just another stop. The driver sat calm, unbothered, and when she finally handed over her ID, everything changed. The names and titles printed there carried more weight than any badge they wore, because the woman sitting in that car wasn't just any driver. She was their soon-to-be boss, the new chief of police, and in that moment, their entire world shifted. The city of Brookhaven had long struggled with its relationship to law enforcement. In certain neighborhoods, particularly black and working-class areas, residents had learned to be cautious. Stops were frequent, suspicion was high, and trust was often absent. Within the department, decades-old habits persisted, habits that blurred authority and intimidation. Amid growing calls for reform, the city council made a bold choice. Dr. Maya Richards would become the new chief of police. Maya's background was unconventional. She had spent years in federal agencies and community advocacy, building a reputation for integrity and accountability. She was celebrated by reformers and quietly dreaded by officers. Comfortable with the status quo, Maya's swearing-in was set for the next morning. It would be historic, a signal that the city intended to confront systemic issues head-on. But on the day before, Maya went about her routine. Driving herself through the busy streets, her sleek SUV glinting in the sunlight, she was calm yet aware. Even in daylight, she knew the city watched her. Even in her own car, she understood the potential for scrutiny. Her journey home was uneventful, until a familiar, blinding flash appeared in her rearview mirror. Two patrol cars, lights spinning, signaling her to stop. The moment she pulled over, she sensed that the next encounter would not be ordinary. And she was right. The blue and red lights reflected off her SUV as she slowed to the curb. In the clear afternoon, the stop was public. Pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers all aware something was unfolding. Maya's pulse remained steady. She had faced scrutiny before. This was merely a different stage. Officer Daniels approached the driver's side, knocking sharply on the window. Officer Hayes moved to the passenger side, hands hovering near his belt, eyes scanning her interior as if expecting contraband. "License and registration," Daniels barked. Maya complied with practiced calm, sliding her documents across the hood. She noticed a small crowd, gathering, a handful of people, who had stopped their day to watch the interaction. Minutes stretched. Daniels examined her papers slowly, his confidence subtly slipping. Hayes flicked his flashlight across the SUV's interior, unnecessary in the bright sunlight. Yet he persisted, as if to justify their authority. Maya remained composed. She knew exactly what she was about to do. When she handed over her ID, the weight of its truth hit the officers instantly. Maya Richards, chief of police. Daniels froze. Hayes stepped back. Suddenly, the assumed hierarchy had flipped. Passers-by exchanged glances, sensing the tension. A street that had seemed ordinary was now a stage for an extraordinary reversal of power. The officers' faces betrayed disbelief, confusion, and a dawning awareness. This was no routine stop. Their authority, so confidently displayed moments ago, had been nullified in an instant. For a long heartbeat, the street seemed to hold its breath. Daniels cleared his throat. Searching for something, an excuse, an explanation, a shred of control, but none existed. Maya's gaze remained steady, commanding, calm yet unyielding. In daylight, under the eyes of witnesses, the humiliation was complete. Two officers who had approached with authority now stood uncertain, exposed. The crowd of onlookers sensed the shift, their whispers and sidelong glances amplifying the moment. Maya spoke, her voice even but firm, a simple reminder of protocol and respect. No aggression, no mockery, just undeniable clarity. Daniels and Hayes swallowed their pride, realizing that for the first time, they were being seen through the lens of accountability they had long avoided. It was more than embarrassment. It was a turning point. Maya's arrival at this department wasn't just ceremonial. It was symbolic, an opening salvo against the culture that had persisted unchecked for decades. Two officers, once confident, now understood that the system had changed, and that change had a face calm, composed, and utterly authoritative. By the time Maya drove away, the stop had become a story on social media. Pedestrians retold it to friends, drivers shared it over lunch breaks, and within the department, word traveled fast. Officers who had once assumed untouchable authority now faced the reality of a leader who would not tolerate abuse, favoritism, or discrimination. Maya's first day as chief marked the beginning of deliberate structural reform. Training programs were revised, bias protocols strengthened, and a culture of accountability spread throughout the ranks. And while change wasn't instantaneous, The symbolism of that traffic stop reverberated through the city. Authority must always be tempered by responsibility. For Brookhaven, the event was more than anecdotal. It was a message that even in the most ordinary moments, a routine stop on a sunny street, justice, respect, and dignity could assert themselves. Maya's presence reminded everyone that leadership wasn't about intimidation or displays of power. It was about fairness, courage, and integrity. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, the city reflected on the incident. Could a single calm individual really alter the course of an entire system? Perhaps, because sometimes the most ordinary day contains extraordinary lessons about accountability, respect, and the real meaning of power. And in that quiet reflection, the city and the officers were forced to ask themselves, who truly holds the authority, and how will they use it?